Two people can earn similar incomes, live in the same city, move through the same spaces. From the outside, they can appear indistinguishable, but psychologically, they are structured very differently. One is wealthy, the other is performing well. And the difference is not money itself. It is the relationship to visibility, control, time, validation, and systems. This video is not about morality. It is not about superiority. And it is not advice. It is an analysis of behavioral patterns. Patterns that emerge consistently when wealth stabilizes, and patterns that emerge when it does not. What we call fake rich and real rich are not identities. They are psychological positions. And once you understand those positions, wealth stops looking aspirational and starts looking structural. Before examining differences, a clarification is required. Fake rich does not mean poor. It does not mean irresponsible. It does not mean unintelligent. It describes a psychological orientation where wealth must be signaled to feel real. Real rich does not mean billionaire. It does not mean elite. It does not mean untouchable. It describes a psychological orientation where wealth must be protected to remain functional. One orientation is outward-facing. The other is inward-facing. One is driven by reassurance, the other by insulation. And these orientations quietly shape how decisions are made, how environments are chosen, how risk is evaluated, how attention is managed. Money amplifies psychology. It does not replace it. Fake rich psychology gravitates toward visibility. Visibility reassures identity. Being seen confirms progress. Being recognized confirms legitimacy. Being noticed confirms belonging. Visibility transforms wealth into proof. This is why fake rich behavior often clusters around visible locations, recognizable symbols, shared environments with witnesses. Visibility externalizes self-worth, but visibility is not neutral. Every visible signal introduces interpretation, expectation, narrative. Once a signal is visible, it must be maintained. This creates narrative debt. If you are known for a signal, you are expected to continue signaling. Deviation becomes suspicious. Reduction becomes regression. Real rich psychology understands this cost intuitively. Visibility is not flattering, it is binding. Being seen reduces optionality. Being remembered creates obligation. Real wealth minimizes exposure, not out of fear, but out of efficiency. Visibility creates predictability. Predictability allows tracking, categorization, anticipation. Once behavior is predictable, leverage decreases. Real rich psychology prioritizes selective invisibility, appearing when necessary, disappearing when irrelevant, avoiding unnecessary recognition. Fake rich ask, who is watching? Real rich ask, who doesn't need to? That difference determines whether wealth becomes a platform or a liability. Visibility invites interpretation. Interpretation invites distortion. Real rich individuals avoid environments where behavior is misread, actions are narrated by others. motives are assumed. Invisibility protects against narrative hijacking. Fake rich absorb interpretation as validation. Real rich avoid it as friction. Fake rich psychology is consumption-oriented. Objects function as symbols. They represent arrival, security, transformation, social position. Ownership is emotional. Purchases feel meaningful. They mark transitions. Consumption becomes a way to stabilize identity. Real rich psychology approaches objects differently. Ownership is logistical. Every object introduces maintenance, dependency, cognitive load exposure. Real rich evaluate objects by how they affect control. Does this object simplify decisions, reduce friction, preserve autonomy? If not, ownership is inefficient. Regardless of price, emotional versus operational ownership. Fake rich behavior attaches memory to objects. They remember when it was acquired, how it felt, who noticed. Real rich behavior detaches memory from objects. Objects become interchangeable, disposable, unremarkable. Emotional attachment indicates identity reliance. Identity reliance creates vulnerability. Real wealth reduces emotional dependency on material anchors. Control is not domination. It is predictability. Real rich prioritize consistent systems, repeatable outcomes, low variance environments. Consumption that disrupts control is avoided. Fake rich accumulate to feel powerful. Real rich subtract to remain stable. Fake rich psychology experiences time as scarce. There is pressure to demonstrate progress, upgrade regularly, sustain momentum. Time urgency emerges when identity depends on motion. If progress pauses, the performance weakens. Urgency creates faster decisions, reactive behavior, trend sensitivity. Real rich psychology experiences time as abundant, not idle, not slow, but patient. Decisions are delayed deliberately. Time becomes a filter. Urgency is interpreted as dependency, slowness as insulation. Fake rich react quickly to comparison, to external stimuli, to perceived threats. Real rich allow delay. Delay allows information asymmetry, incentive exposure, error avoidance. Speed feels powerful, but restraint compounds power. Patience signals low volatility, stable systems, minimal fear of regression. Fake rich urgency often masks instability. Real rich patience reflects positioning. Fake rich identity is externally anchored. Decisions are filtered through perception optics, symbolic value. How does this look? Becomes a constant internal query. Behavior adapts to audience. One version for visibility, another for privacy, another for advantage. Real rich identity is internally anchored. Decisions align with personal rules, system coherence, long-term tolerance. Approval is irrelevant, not rejected, simply unnecessary, and attention determines decision quality. Real rich individuals behave similarly when observed, when ignored, when anonymous. This creates predictability internally, opacity externally. Fake rich behavior changes with context because performance demands adjustment. The psychological cost of performance. Performing identity requires monitoring reactions, adjusting signals, managing impressions. This consumes attention. Real wealth protects attention. Fake rich thinking is symbolic. Objects represent ideas. A car means success. A location means status. A lifestyle means arrival. Symbols simplify identity. Real rich thinking is systemic. They evaluate incentives, probabilities, second-order effects, long-term exposure. They ask not what something represents, but what it changes. Does it alter leverage, increase fragility, reduce flexibility? Symbols decay, systems persist. Why systems outlast symbols? Systems absorb volatility. Symbols amplify it. During instability, symbolic lifestyles collapse quickly. System-based lifestyles adapt. Real wealth is often boring by design, predictable, redundant, unimpressive, and resilient. Across all 5 differences, one pattern emerges. Fake rich psychology is about being perceived. Real rich psychology is about being positioned. One invests in attention. The other invests in insulation. One needs reinforcement. The other minimizes exposure. The closer wealth stabilizes, the less it needs to announce itself. From a distance, fake rich and real rich can look identical, but psychologically, they are opposites. One lives inside visibility. The other operates outside it. And in a world optimized for display, the most durable form of power is often the one that remains deliberately unseen.